Alright, so this is the flipped classroom video. This is your homework for over the weekend. This is due Monday, October 6th. If you are watching this on Friday or Saturday, then we know that Sunday the Giants have a game against the Falcons, so we are rooting for the Giants, sending them our positive thoughts. If you were watching this Sunday after 4 o'clock, then this is a celebratory video because the Giants probably just beat the Falcons. So we are going to be talking about intersecting lines and the angles they form. So the one on the screen is something we did in class that we've already done. If you remember, when two lines intersect, so AD intersects with BC, it forms four angles. And it forms special angles because the angles it forms are either going to be vertical, which are congruent. We know that vertical angles are congruent, or they're going to form supplementary angles, because if you look, angles 1 and 2, angles 2 and 3, they form straight lines, and straight lines equal 180 degrees, which means they're supplementary. So if we know that angle 4 is 105 degrees, then angle 2 is also 105 degrees, because they are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. To figure out angle 1, we can see that angle 1 and angle 4 form a straight line. They form a line, which equals 180 degrees. So together, those two angles are 180 degrees. So to figure out angle 1, we need to do 180 minus 105, and that equals 75 degrees. We fill that in, and then we know that angle 3 is also 75 degrees because angles 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. Now we're going to take this a step further, and this is the part that's new for you guys. We are looking at the same kind of problem, but when we're giving expressions instead of actual angles. So there's a few things we have to ask ourselves before we start. The two angles provided, what kind of angles are they? Do we know what they are? Do we know what their properties are? And then we also have to ask ourselves, are they congruent or are they supplementary? Those are always going to be the two things we're worried about in this class. So I look at these two angles, and I notice that they are both formed by the same two lines, and they're across from each other. So I know that these two angles are vertical angles. And what do we know about vertical angles? Vertical angles are congruent. So I know that this 5x on the left is congruent to the 3x plus 10 on the right. So we have a 5x, we have a 3x plus 10. So remember, I'm asking myself, are they congruent or are they supplementary? These are congruent, they are equal. They are vertical angles, so let's set them equal to each other. Since these two angles are equal, I just set them equal to each other and I have an equation. Now I know I just have to solve this equation for x. I minus 3x from both sides. I get 2x equals 10. Divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals 5. I'm not done yet though. Now I know what x is, but I don't know what the angles are. So I need to substitute this value of x back into each expression. Some of you are probably thinking, well, don't I only have to do it once since they're both equal anyway? You should substitute it into both of them to double check if they're the same or not. If you plug it in and it works out and they both are equal, then you did everything correctly. If you substitute it back in and they don't come out equal, then you messed up with your equation. So we have 5x. I'm substituting the value of 5 in for x, and I get 25 degrees. So I am saying that the left angle is 25 degrees. And then we have 3x plus 10. Substitute that 5 in. Whenever you see an x, I like using parentheses. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 10. 15 plus 10 is 25 degrees. So now we know that they are exactly the same, which is what we wanted. They're both 25 degrees. And all I have left to do is find the other two missing angles. So I know that the other two have to be supplementary with the 25. So I can do 180 minus 25, and I get 155 degrees. So that's what to do when we're given two vertical angles, two angles that are across from each other and that are congruent. Now in this problem, these are not vertical angles. These are not across from each other. So I have to ask myself, are they congruent or are they supplementary? These are not congruent angles. Even though they might look like it, we can't assume that. These angles are next to each other, and when you put them together, they form a straight line. They form the line AD. Therefore, they are supplementary. What do we know about supplementary angles? Supplementary angles are two or more angles that add up to 180 degrees. So if these two angles are supplementary, then when I add them together, when I do x plus 16 plus 3x, my answer is going to be 180 degrees. The angles are supplementary. They form a straight line. So add them together and set them equal to 180 degrees. Combine like terms. X plus 3x is 4x plus 16 equals 180 degrees. Subtract 16 from both sides. 4x equals 164. Divide both sides by 4, divide both sides by 4, and I get x equals 41 degrees. Well, not 41 degrees, that's what I'm saying. X equals 41. We need to take that x value and substitute it back into our expression. So we have 3x, 3 times 41, 3 times 41 is 123 degrees. And for our other one, we have x plus 16. So that would be 41 plus 16. And when I add them together, I get 57 degrees. They're not the same this time, but they shouldn't be the same. Remember, these two angles are not congruent. They are supplementary. 123 plus 57 equals 180. That means that that is true. They are supplementary. I can fill in my missing angles. 123, 57, 57, 123. So that is how you're going to go about solving these types of problems. We're going to apply this towards other situations as well, but when you come in Monday, this is where I want you to be at. You need to know how to solve these types of problems. So on the back of your guided note worksheet is a practice problem. You need to come in with that done. And it's very important, and here's a hint for what's coming on Monday, that you come in either with questions on what you didn't understand, or you come in knowing how to do these. Very important. Okay, have a good weekend. I will see you Monday.